Hey folks, I decided to become an anti-SJW channel and do a brief little video here from King 5 News, which is up in my neck of the, well, what used to be my neck of the woods in Seattle, Washington, from King 5 News. This is about, this is talking about how urbanization is racism, basically. And that's probably the title I'm going to put it. I mean, the title for the actual video from their YouTube channel is Racism is Destroying Our Planet. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to say is that urbanization is racism. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get through this video. All right, let's hit it.
Well, some of us are feeling the heat more than others. It doesn't just vary from city to city, but neighborhood to neighborhood. King 5's Britt Moore spoke to a scientist about how racism may play a role.
A UW ecologist says racism is destroying the planet. Much of that reasoning, he says, lies in three elements: heat, air, and water. And he says the proof is in the plants and animals.
So just to spoil it for you, they do talk about plants and animals briefly, and then they cut it and they automatically give us the bait of, is, I think they said basically, is blank racist? And of course he's very careful how he answers this and that. Ultimately, this is, and I say this later on, but ultimately this is not so much a critique of what this gentleman said. This is something that's normal in academia. It happens all the time. Basically, this is more of a critique of local media and sometimes the misnomer that local media, or that local channels are somehow better than national media. They are not. They are a lot of the times worse than national media. And once again, you can just see the video to see how cringe this is and how bait-worthy it is, and how this is just, it speaks to, you know, the couch potato viewer. Anyway, continue.
On days like today, environmental inequities are noticeable.
No trees means the reduced capacity to have a cooler environment. And that's exactly why it's hotter in some low-income neighborhoods where they have very few trees, very few vegetation to cool the environment.
Look at these pictures. The one on the left is of the more affluent city of University Place. The one on the right is of a neighborhood in Tacoma, less than 5 miles apart, and you can see the difference. Same thing in Lakewood.
Where the buildings are, where the impervious surface is, where essentially that hard cover, right, the concrete, where the trees are, that's all influenced by the policies that say where stuff is going to be. And those policies themselves are racist.
King County.
Okay. The thing is, once again, this is kind of just how the media edits things here, that he automatically just says, well, it's racist. Well, the thing is that part of what my critique was going to say is, and I'm going to say it here now, is just that any sort of let's go ahead and update the community would ultimately come from the outside. Yeah, there would be people that would be coming from inside the community, but of course, there would automatically be calls of saying that this is gentrification and this is ruining our legacy in these various communities, particularly, you know, what was he talking about? Tacoma, I think. So anyway, let's go ahead and keep it there. Let's move on.
The county is already looking into ways to combat this issue. In July, we told you about volunteers driving around the area documenting potential heat islands. It's data that will be used to come up with solutions to keep areas naturally cool.
It can range from trying to increase the amount of tree canopy in an area so that you get more shading. Okay,
I just wanted to point this out to say that this is in the study as well, and I imagine this is kind of what they were pointing at, but I think King 5 just kind of patting themselves on the back a little bit. I think that's all this was. This is part criticism of himself by saying, well, it's racist, this and that, but it's also a critique of modern media. It's a sense of, you know, they could have explained this a little bit better and showed, hey, he's got a new research paper out, instead of me having to look for that. They could have just explained that and, you know, been okay with it. I get it. It's on YouTube. They just wanted to upload a video of their content for folks that are watching. I get it. I do. And maybe it's just silly nitpicking. But it's like, if it was good journalism, then I would have already had to, I wouldn't have had to dig that deep, and I would have found it, and then it would have been the end of it. But anyway, let's go ahead and continue on here.
Try to increase access to green space, again with trees, so people have a place when it's hot to go take refuge and enjoy some outside time in shade.
Christopher Schell is an ecologist at UW-Tacoma. He's helping the science world grapple with environmental injustices affecting the planet as a whole.
The way we treat each other and the way we treat our landscape is essentially influencing where the animals can and cannot live.
Is science racist?
Who created and who has the power in the structures?
Okay, before I get into the obvious there at the end, the thing is that they were talking about the animals and, being able to, get away from the heat and everything like that. But of course, they obviously cut it off, and they know they want to present the bait to you already. It's like, but this is why the media, at least in the United States, is not to be respected at all. This is something that's obvious and that everyone should know already, but this is just another example. So let's continue.
To actually make the decisions. That's, I think, one of the biggest fallacies of how we conceive science, is that the people that are doing the science, we do it as objective as possible, but we all have our own biases.
Yeah, I mean, at least he's honest where he admits, we do have our biases. And the thing is, come on now. You think that they didn't do that just to stroke his ego? Come on. Let's be honest, shall we? Okay, let's continue.
Schell is hoping researchers begin to look at science through an all-inclusive lens. So on hot days like today, everyone can enjoy clean air, clean water, and natural ways to stay cool.
Now, the problem, of course, with that is I don't have a problem with that. I think that you would have to be, just a shitlord to be like, oh, well, we don't want that. The problem is this. The problem is that the native tribes up there, such as the Squamish tribe and the Puyallup tribes, would say, we want this done this way. And then these researchers will kind of give lip service to it in some ways, but they'll ultimately be on another path as well. So they're going to be clashing. They're going to be at heads. But anyway, that's my take on it. Let's go ahead and finish this video up. Just a nice little shorty here. Okay.
Schell is encouraging people to take small steps forward in order to improve the planet as a whole. He says everything from volunteering at an urban garden to voting for initiatives and politicians who can push for science rooted in environmental justice. In Seattle, Britt Moore, King 5 News.
And that will automatically date things immediately by saying, oh yeah, it was 2020, because they were still talking about electoralism. The thing is, look, I don't have much to criticize about this Christopher Schell, and I'm not going to sit here and criticize his work and the recent research paper that he put out with a joint effort. I will put the link in the description so you can read it if you want to, and you can take your own conclusions. I'm not a scientist. I'm not gonna fall into the fallacy that people like Vosh have used. Vosh has created this element. He has become the meme. That it's really the truth here, is that Vosh has become the meme. I'm going to talk about Vosh in a video. I'm sorry, again. But he has turned into the meme of facts and logic, where it's just like, oh, well, this research paper says this. And he has become the big brain nibba that the conservatives claim to be. And now of course, I mean, he's shilling, of course, for Kamala Harris and saying, oh, well, she's done positive things, this and that, and, Joe Biden is just, and it shows that these folks have sold out. But, you know what? I've already made this video too long enough as it is. Y'all enjoy, and have a good day, and goodbye. There we go. That was a long-ass outro. Sorry. Goodbye.